on after the fact. Live chat. Oh, I can't. Oh, it's disabled. All right, well, I was going to have live chat on today, but it won't let me. Hello, first person to join. Hi. I know I've kind of made reference to this in the past, but I mean this 100% sincerely. This is my absolute favorite lecture because of one particular conversation that I could have with you guys. It was always a lot of fun. So we're now, as I kind of referenced all last week, we're now officially halfway, or we're beyond halfway through the semester. So just contemplate that means this is the best lecture. It's just all downhill from here. No, but so including this class, we have 4 classes in person left together. Am I correct? I believe we do. There's 4 classes because this is topic 5, we have topic 6, and topic 7 is last, and that's online. So we are only together 4 more times, and you guys are blessed because you get to do this lecture live. And it's just, we talk about a fun, we talk about a fun topic for a little bit, and I always get some great responses from you guys. It's a lot of fun. So it sucks that the people who are, the students who are watching the live stream, they don't get to participate in the conversation. And just so you guys know, there's nobody there. The one person that was there has dropped off. It's 0 students. So, yeah, it sucks to do that totally. I was going to have the comments on so they could comment, and so we could get theirs, but I can get one with me. So anyway, you guys had your assignment turned in yesterday, so that is assignment number 4 of 7. So 4 down, 3 to go. How do you guys feel about it? Pretty easy? Yeah. Yeah. Small. What did I call them? Essay answers? Essay text response length? Something like that. Yeah. So it's pretty much what we do the rest of the semester. I think is basically like that. I'm trying to remember. I think that's just essay-like text. So basically, we're moving to the end of the semester really quick. So just remember, no cell phones, no headphones, no laptops, no tech. We're going to have a great conversation today, I guarantee it. So this is the first lecture of Prosperity and Consumerism series. Today is 1880s to 1920s. So just a reminder, if you haven't done already, you do have in your inbox right now your mid-semester survey, so please fill it out. It literally takes you between 30 seconds and 90 seconds to answer the survey. 30 seconds if you don't leave a comment, 90 seconds if you do. And you don't have to. It's totally anonymous. It just helps me, it helps the university, it helps all your professors, it helps the university. Just gets information. So it is in your student inbox as we speak. You have not filled it out already. How many of you guys have filled at least one out? Or how long will it take?
Barely a minute.
Barely a minute. See, so firsthand, how long will it take?
Took me solid 35 seconds.
Solid 35 seconds. That's a good number. So that's as long as it takes. Please just fill it out. That would be fantastic. So today we're going to describe the exuberance and excesses of the 1920s. So let's open up the Consumer Society. Check out this headline. Stock market invincible. Buy, experts advise. Subheadlines, Wall Street spirits soaring, United States enjoying embarrassment of riches, solid gold plumbing fixtures, best-selling consumer product of 1929, even immigrants enjoying measure of comfort, citizens urged to put everything they have into stock market. New easy credit delays, financial catastrophes until the 1930s. President Herbert Hoover promises airplane in every garage by 1935. So really optimistic, just fantastic. The country was looking great. And then I love new brain surgery techniques change face of modern medicine. Opening cranium with saw, not hammer. A bold step forward, say doctors. What's going on? Oh, and then, and this picture, a group of Americans here pictured looking like the cat's pajamas are living the high life with no end in sight. If the stock market's bullish behavior is any indicator. Does anybody know what cat's pajamas is? I asked it every semester, I've never bothered to look it up. It's like the strangest phrase of like positivity. It's the cat's pajamas. I don't know. What are we thinking about this? This front page of the newspaper.
They definitely want you to invest in the stock market.
They definitely want you to invest in the stock. It's invincible. If something is invincible, it means it can't die, it can't be hurt, it can't break. So you might as well invest. You could be a millionaire for sure. What else? What else do I see? Everybody notice the date?
It mentions 1929.
29, Tuesday, October 22nd, 1920. What'd you say?
That's sad.
That's it.
It's so sad.
New York on October 21st, leading economic indicators of the day, such as numbers of raccoon skin coats in the process of being paid off on, quote, easy credit, and the highly inflated value of major common stocks being oversold on margin point to one thing, say experts, prosperity for the USA. Average Americans are getting rich by buying stocks with money they don't even have. Quote, I bought several shares of Westinghouse stock on margin and have a net worth of over $30,000. This is, everybody ever read The Onion? Have you ever heard of The Onion?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so The Onion is, they're a fake news agency, intentionally so. What's the word? They're satire. And so they actually have this line of front page of the newspapers that you can buy and get framed that provide fake news. So this is one of them, and so I use this for a very obvious reason here in a moment. Another thing they've got is I can't say the words, but if you have interest in it, look it up. It's about the person landing on the moon. What the first words were actually said on the moon. It's vulgar, but it's funny. But regardless, while this is satire, it does kind of illustrate something that did permeate through the United States at this time. And that is that the United States, we're talking 1920s, the United States, yes, hopefully you remember this from your junior high and high school social studies classes, your history classes. 1920s were the roaring 20s. Everything was going great economically. The country had just left World War I, while Europe was trying to recover. The United States was economically skyrocketing. New technologies were being introduced regularly. This is the era in which you get the toaster and things like that. The irons, electricity, basically that kind of thing. And things are just looking up and up and up, and so much so that it really appears to many people that it was never going to decline. The United States, we had just won World War I. The United States can almost take credit for ending the war, and it just seemed like, okay, we're now on the top. We're the big dogs, and it's never going to change. And so while this is satire, it really does kind of illustrate exactly what a lot of people were thinking at this time. And it kind of how a lot of people were making a lot of money. Obviously, this isn't, the date is hilarious, at least it is to those who find it funny. Then Tuesday, October 22nd, 1929, Black Friday, excuse me, it's not Friday, Wednesday, which is the next day, which is when the stock market began to crash and led to the kind of the domino effect that just destroyed the American economy for almost a decade and a half, almost a decade and a half, would kick in the next day. And part of the problem, one of the causes of this economic collapse that was tied to the stock market, and it was because of something very simple. People saw the stock market as a get-rich-quick scheme. And so they were borrowing money from banks to buy stock, expecting the stocks to go up and up and up, make them a lot of money. They'd be able to pay off their loans, the original loan to buy the stock, and still make a huge profit. It was a no-lose scenario until the stock market crashed. And then you had millions of people, or if not millions, you had many hundreds of thousands of people who owed banks money for stocks that no longer had any value. Stocks that maybe at one point cost $7, $20, $150, that are now worth 12 cents. And the companies are going bankrupt. And then, to make matters worse, you had banks doing the same thing. How many of you guys have a savings account? What do you think happens to the physical cash after you deposit it? What happens to it? Does it sit in the cash register's drawer until you come and collect it? No. Huh? It gets loaned out, but there are other things to it. In that moment, what you have done by depositing it is loaned it to the bank. You're saying, here, I can't hold on all this cash, you hold on to it for me. That's why they charge you interest. That's their, okay, well, we're gonna hold your cash, we're gonna make a little profit off of it. So what were banks doing with all those loans, those deposits that were just sitting in bank accounts? Yeah, if I deposited $100 and Taylor borrowed, came right behind me and borrowed $20, she was technically taking $20. But then what happens to this other 80? And then what happens to all those people after Taylor who deposit hundreds of thousands of dollars? Well, the bank now just sits on it, and it sits in storage. Banks traditionally don't keep it with them. They then send it to, like Wells Fargo, not bank, there's two Wells Fargos. One's the bank, and one is a money kind of safe deposit box for banks, if you will. They'll send those go to storage facilities where it's truly safe, the physical cash is safe. But the bank still holds the rights to that money that you deposit. So what were they doing? The same thing that the individuals were doing. That was, they're going, hey, we've got $200,000 just sitting around that we're holding on to. Let's invest it and make some more money for ourselves. This is the bank owners. So the bank owners are taking $200,000 that are our deposits, investing in the stock market. Well, then guess what happened when the stock market crashed? They no longer had the cash on hand to give back when we came and said, hey, I need my money back. They don't have it. It doesn't exist. They lost it. It's gone. And then when the banks closed their doors, it does not matter that you had a cash slip that said, I have $15,000 in this bank. $15,000 doesn't exist because that bank doesn't exist. And that money, that slip, that's it. That's all you have left. You just lost $15,000. So it was this cataclysmic series of events, and there was more to it than just that. But those are kind of the first two primary dominoes to fall. And that was the stock market crashes. People couldn't pay off their loans for the stocks that they bought. Banks did the same thing. They couldn't give us back our cash deposit. There was more in terms of credit. This is the first time credit really comes into play on a wide scale. We'll talk about that more, I think, next week. It actually might be Tuesday for our class. So there are a great number of things, but those are kind of the first 2 months. And so that is the great humor. It's satire, but it's the irony of, hey, this is what Americans are thinking. They were thinking, deposit some money in the stock market. It's going to go up, 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 up. I'm going to make my money back at tenfold, and then boom, it crashed, and it didn't recover. It took, I kind of like to say this because it sounds really silly, but it's actually true. You can thank Adolf Hitler for the ending of the Great Depression because FDR didn't fix it. The American government didn't fix it. The economy was still really low until World War II kicked in, and then government spending bought us out of it, essentially. But it only occurred because Hitler invaded Poland and then invaded France and bombed the U.S. and the U.S. got in. So we can really thank Hitler for anything. But regardless, America's Industrial Revolution transition from producing capital goods that are good, those are goods that are produced, are used to produce other goods, ergo lumber, iron, steel, to consumer goods. We began to transition from a production-based economy to a consumer-based economy. It was more of what can I buy, kind of producers were less worried about what can be produced, they can produce other things, and more concerned with what can I produce that can make a turn profit in the marketplace. What can they produce that would then be bought by the average citizen directly. The rapid growth of transportation and communication networks created new markets and new ways of doing things. We discussed that last week, in particular in regards to the growing network of trains, as well as, and we'll talk about this in our final topic when we discuss the Civil War. Really, radio lines are the big deal. That's the big, those communication networks in regards to, I'm not spacing on the name. Radio lines and eventually telephone, spacing on the word I want to use. But it began to connect the nation instantly. So remember, before we had radio and telephones, the only way to send transmission, or excuse me, not transmission, the only way to connect to another person in another part of the country was to send a letter, and that had to go by train. And so prior to the train, if something was being carried on a horse, if you expect to take a couple weeks, the train, what we saw the highway system last week, and then the train networks cut that time down from weeks to days. Well, then obviously radio and telephone, those new lines, those electrical lines, began to cut that delay down to seconds, and eventually cut it down to instantaneous communication. So this was huge for consumer goods because now businesses can be able to take orders from people in long distances, expanding their markets of sale. We're going to get into this in a second, from local to regional and national sales, which really helped us kind of to build these large corporations of selling of goods. So that's where we get, your Sears, your JCPenney's, and so forth. So the new consumer society purchased goods, that would be, we are the consumer society purchased goods or consumer materials in excess of their basic needs. So remember, what did Thomas Jefferson, I referenced this all semester, Thomas Jefferson's idea of what the perfect kind of God's chosen person was, a yeoman farmer, was the person who produced enough goods to be able to sustain himself. Well, at this point, we get to the position where we have the ability to purchase things more than we need to sustain. We're really now entering an era of luxury. And contemplate, the simplest things we have in our pockets now. A cell phone at one point was a luxury, and now it's an everyday. It might not necessarily ever come to the point of being a necessity, but it really is something that is an expectation. Same with the internet, same with computers, same with the television, the flat screen TV of great size, same with video game systems, same with multiple cars. And on cars now, as of 2018, 2019, the federal government mandates that all cars have a backup camera installed. So what once was a luxury is now an expectation. So we start to enter this era of luxury and then an era of expectation, which is how we really begin to evolve from a production-based society to a consumer-based society. Before 1850, markets included specialty shops and general stores. So in other words, if you needed to get, aspirin, you went to a pharmacy. You would walk into a drugstore, and that's all they sold. If you wanted candy, you'd go to a candy store. They might sell like soda and maybe some foods and stuff, but that was kind of, like burgers or something. That would be like the specific thing they would sell. If you want clothing, you went to a specific clothing store. If you wanted food, you went to a specific grocery store. However, after the 1850s, after the Civil War, the department store began to develop. And this combined both the specialty shops and the general stores as retail sales focused on consumer goods, and they placed them all under one roof. So this is now your everyday Walmart. Almost any big store is in essence what these department stores used, which were specialized stores used to be. If I go to Walmart, I can get my tires fixed, I can get my oil changed, I can pick up medicine, prescriptions, I can buy dinner for all meals, I can buy foods and snacks, I can buy clothing for men, women, and children. I can buy sporting goods, I can buy technology, but televisions, video games, sound systems, music players. Yesterday I was at a Walmart and they were talking about changing my phone, affecting my phone bill. So it's like you can buy phones, you can set up, you can sign a contract with a phone company. I mean, like that, you can do 30 things, maybe even more. In one store, one group, what used to be at one point individual locations are now housed in the same location. Well then, and again, we're still talking well before the internet, late 1800s, early 1900s. Then the mail order catalog brought the department store to those isolated locations where the department stores weren't going to survive just yet. So I'm kind of like what we think of in regards to Walmart being placed in small towns. They're not really able to be placed in small towns. That would be the location where these catalogs would put, or would kind of help connect to these department stores by sending those mail order catalogs. Developed in towns in Western United States. So this is, in essence, a print Amazon. So imagine all the goods that are sold on Amazon. But now imagine all those goods listed in a book an inch and a half thick. Those would then be mailed to people who have subscriptions. So you have, let's say, a subscription with Sears, or you have a subscription or you have a subscription with Montgomery and Woolworth, or you have a subscription with JCPenney. And once a year, you get these catalogs. And it would be everything you could possibly sell all in one book. And in the back of the book, you would have an order form. And on that order form, it would just offer the item number, the number of items you wish to order, and then the price. And you line them all up. You then add the cost, and in your envelope, you would add your cash. And you would mail that in an envelope with that sheet, and they would send you those goods. So if you lived in a town where you could not get it was too difficult to get to a Sears, you'd get that mail order catalog, you would order everything you need, and they would ship it off, and they would deliver it to you. So it's very much like Amazon today, where you go through, and let's say you need to order 5 random items. You add them all to your cart, you hit buy, you give them your credit card number, they get your cash, boom, it's mailed to you 3 days later. But imagine, again, pre-internet, where you had to go through snail mail and send everything that way. So some of the major department stores to develop, Montgomery Ward is a huge one. They have now gone bankrupt. Sears and Roebuck was a big one. They dropped the Roebuck name, I think, by the 1930s. And so it's been Sears forever. They have now gone bankrupt. Saks Fifth Avenue, there are a few of them. There's obviously the one on Fifth Avenue in New York. There's one in Florida. There's one in like Paris or something like that. And then this was an Arizona regional one called Goldwaters, which, if anybody kind of knows a little bit of Arizona and Southern California political history, Barry Goldwater was an Arizona member of the House of Representatives, and then United States senator, and they ran for president in 1964. Got blown out by Lyndon Johnson, and then ran for Senate again in Arizona and served until he retired in like 1988 or 90. Then his son, Barry Goldwater Jr., was a member of the House of Representatives in Southern California. If anybody's from Southern California, anybody recognize that name?
That's familiar.
Well, so Barry Goldwater's dad started a general store, I believe it was Prescott or Flagstaff, and so it became a regional. So there was Goldwaters all throughout Arizona and I think in California. And so that's kind of where the family made its wealth, and Barry Goldwater became a very, very influential and important senator. And again, it was a Republican presidential candidate. He was a United States Senator, and JFK was a United States Senator. Goldwater Republican, JFK Democrat. They were very, very close. They were very good friends. And when Kennedy won the presidency in 1960, when he and Barry Goldwater was kind of presumptive Republican nominee. We kind of figured in '64 that he was going to be the nominee. He and JFK actually intended on campaigning together. They were going to campaign opposite of one another, obviously the incumbent president versus the Republican challenger. They were going to campaign together. They were going to fly together. They were going to go to the same locations together. They were going to debate one another at the same time and time again, because they were so friendly with one another and they respected each other that much. We never got to see that because JFK would be assassinated in 1962 or early '63. And so then Lyndon Johnson, who also had been a senator but out of Texas, becomes president. Well, Lyndon Johnson was not liked. He was actually a very disliked politician. And he and Goldwater were not friendly at all. And so they didn't kind of follow the plan that Goldwater and Kennedy had intended on doing. And then Lyndon Johnson won the election in a landslide. Historians often say mainly off of the kind of the emotion of the death of JFK, because JFK was 5'11". So we were robbed of potentially a game-changing campaign. If Goldwater and Kennedy had been able to campaign the way that they did, they might have actually changed the standard. And candidates from that point forward might have actually kind of followed that model, especially if they're successful, which might have helped to end a lot of the anger and rancor of the political discourse between presidential candidates, because they would travel together. Now, granted, they were an odd couple. They were very good friends. That does obviously help. Trump and Biden are by no means friends, so maybe that would have never worked. But at least had that event taken place, had that campaign taken place, they might have changed that. So here was Montgomery Ward. It was downtown Glendale. That went bankrupt in the early '90s. I remember going in there a few times when I was a kid. I have this memory of seeing one of my aunts. We're talking 30 years ago. I had the memory of seeing one of my aunts working in there. And this is actually Woolworths was another one. Woolworths department store was opened in 1879, and this Glendale location opened in 1954. They were called a 5-dime store, which is the equivalent to a modern-day dollar store. So Woolworths was essentially a dollar store. Well, when this building was built, and hold on, I've got to. When this building was built, they added this placement right here. Hold on, where's my ambitions? Here we go. Based on one, two. Come on. Sorry, guys, I didn't realize I had this conflict. Okay, so this is what the building looks like from far away. Anyway, so they added, you get close and you can see, they added this granite kind of entrance, which is funny that obviously I would assume that was always the double door entrance, but it looks like it should be you walk in right here, but it's not. But regardless, so this building is now, the company went bankrupt in 1997, so it only lasted about 40 years in Glendale. The building still stands, but it's been vacant for a long time. It just sits there. If you go to the Old Town of Glendale, it's actually sad. They got a lot of vacant buildings, just dilapidated. They do kind of a poor job of keeping those buildings, with tenants and keeping the area vibrant and exciting. But regardless, this old Woolworth still has that stoop there, that granite stoop. So in regards to this growing economic consumer economy, the National Consumers League said, quote, "Every person is a consumer. We all make daily and hourly choices as to the bestowal of our means. as we do, we help decide how our fellow men shall spend their time in making what we buy. The consumer ultimately determines all production, since any given article must cease to be produced if all consumers cease to purchase it. So that last line is important. The consumer ultimately determines all production, since any given article must cease to be produced if all consumers cease to purchase it. So what say you? Do you agree with the statement? Why or why not? Social distance out your neighbors. Guys, go.
Don't forget, for participation credit, you have to have your notes. You got to show that you participated in the entire lecture and your what say you. So make sure that you have your notes. If you just send what say you, you don't get participation.
Both sided or someone could consider the wrong way. I don't think it's possible to take out
You don't have everything that
get my word and I brought the
God chooseth. Tyler. There you go.
Alright,
What are you guys talking about?
so we were talking about, we think that it pretty much is true in most circumstances, because like we get to choose, if you don't buy something, a business is not gonna keep making that product.
Mhm.
We actually talked about, like in America, that's true, but in other places, what did you say? Like,
communist states, like you have one product, that's it, you don't really have an option.
Mm-hmm.
You have to buy it.
Yeah.
we use like bread as an example, like there's like one type of bread, it's like, okay, this is what you get. So like in that sense, it wouldn't be wrong. But yeah, that's basically what we talked about.
Okay, yeah, so if people aren't buying it, why would producers continue to produce it? They're just wasting their own resources on undesired goods. Very good. Jake, what did you guys talk about?
We agreed with it, and we said we talked about like how we decide not to buy something, like usually that's where you're going to start losing money, or that's like why a lot of big stores start to go bankrupt because people are uninterested in buying what they sell.
They start to go bankrupt because of why?
Because like consumers aren't buying or like aren't as interested in what they're selling as the other stores that they have options.
Yeah, sure. And that's obviously, if you're in the business of selling goods, you're always worried about what are people going to buy. So businesses, especially in say department stores, they're obviously very careful about what they place on their shelves because that's valuable space. Because if you have something on there that is taking up space and not selling, and you've got somebody else going, hey, we've made this good that is comparable or better than the one that you've got on your shelf, but that shelf, it just means wasted opportunity and lost sales. So that's a very, very important aspect of running a business.
Anybody ever watch, I'm sure I've mentioned it, but does anybody ever watch Shark Tank? The sharks talk about that all the time when somebody comes in with like a new potato chip or a new energy drink or a new ice cream. And they talk about how shelf space in grocery stores in particular is extremely valuable and extremely hard to get on the shelf because the items that are on those shelves through a history of sales, and I'm sure with market testing and so forth, they know it's going to sell. So if you're coming in with this new thing that nobody knows about, and there isn't a history of sales, why would they take off their shelf something they know will sell and place something on it that they might not sell? And if you take Walmart, Walmart buys all of those items. They then sell you, so they own, when you buy a box of pizza, Walmart owns that pizza. They then sell it at a higher cost to recoup the cost of the purchase, the initial purchase, and then to make a profit. So if that pizza passes the expiration date and doesn't sell, and they have to throw it away, they're out that amount of money, however much the cost was. So that's what cost is. It's cost to the store. So they're very, very picky about what goes on shelves, and it's up to us to decide what goes on those shelves. So Taylor, what you used a specific phrase. What was that?
Supply and demand.
Yes, precisely. And so it kind of explained what you guys talked about in regards to supply and demand.
If they're not going to buy it, then why supply it?
Yeah, I think that should be like a poster. If they're not going to buy it, why supply it? That's demand. And that's exactly it. And I think that's probably the best phrase, honestly. That's a very good phrase. I should probably steal that and make a little campaign poster right there. If they're not going to buy it, why supply it? That's demand. I'm totally going to steal that. I'm so stealing that. That's going to, next semester when I teach this class, there's going to be a little poster. It's going to look like a campaign. I'm writing this down. That's a really good idea. I'll put your name on it. I will forever give you credit. I'll make a campaign poster. This. I can text yourself. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm totally voice. If they're not going to buy it, why supply it? Oh, I didn't hit message. If they're not going to buy it, why supply it? That's demand. Period. Boom. Forever. I love it. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, so the National Consumers League connected the consumer, and they targeted initially women. So again, we're still talking early 1900s. They targeted women. Why? Why women? Why?
Shopping.
Stop eating.
I said shop.
Oh, shop. I don't know. It's the mask, I'm sure. Stop eating. Yes, shopping. Well, okay, so why though? Why women in shopping? What's the connection? Or what was the
Women usually shop more than men.
Why? Okay, women usually shop more than men. How come?
More fun.
Because why?
More fun.
It's more fun. Boy, I don't find shopping fun at all.
Because men were usually out working and.
Yes. Yeah, so men were usually working and women once at home. Now, I talked about this if you ever take my world history class. So actually, the Thursday class of last week, we had this very discussion, probably from last semester. The way society was designed, it was a Western kind of societal idea that the United States adopted and maintained through the 1950s, 1960s, and really started to fizzle by the 1970s. But that was that men worked and women stayed at home. Now, it wasn't situated as a prison kind of thing. It wasn't like, well, women stay home because you can't work. I mean, yes, there was, I will admit, it's certainly over hundreds of years, there was some level to that of, well, women can't work, they don't have the skills to do certain things. They also might not have had the right education, yada, yada, yada.
But a lot of what it was, certainly by the time we get to the 1900s in the United States, it was just that our economy was set up as a one-income economy. And that is that there wasn't an expectation of having two incomes. And so things, the value or the price of items and services were lower because only one person in the household was really making income. And so if things were higher, then the one-income families, which was the vast majority of families, weren't going to be able to afford anything. So hence supply and demand, there was supply but no demand. So everything was lower because the economy was kind of situated around the fact that our families were generally one income. Now, it's almost expected that both husband and wife work, that families are two income. And because of that, costs are higher, prices are more expensive because there are more people working. Thus, there is more income in the bank, coming in. There's more money in the bank accounts. So why at this point were they targeting women? Well, it's because of that very thing. Women weren't generally working, so they were at home. And they had a great number of responsibilities the men had outside of the home. But part of that responsibility was, yes, it was shopping. They were going to have to do the grocery shopping. They were going to have to shop for the kids' clothes. They were going to have to shop for the goods and for the craft stuff and the entertainment, yada, yada, yada. And so they might have a radio on at home, listening to music, listening to the news, that kind of thing. And so they're going to hear the commercials. And so then for those responsibilities that are generally the housewife's responsibility, that of like ironing and making dinner and doing the dishes, those types of menial things, then obviously they're going to target those advertisers are going to target women who are generally taking care of those responsibilities. Could a man not hear that same commercial? Of course a man could. Could a man iron, do the dishes, and make dinner? Of course they can. And plenty of men did, but they were also at work during the day, generally not listening to the radio, watching TV. So this advertisement was targeted to people who were actually had their ears open and ready to take in this information. So directed manufacturing and retailing aspects of this bubbling and explosive capitalist society was designed in efforts to link products and the labor involved in doing those chores. So the goal was to produce them with an activist agenda. And this sentence I need to just fix, but it really just kind of goes into a greater kind of social aspect. But they quote, a grassroots phalanx or group of consumers who became thoroughly implicated in the conditions under which the goods were produced are the ones who are doing the purchasing. So how does the consumption of these goods and these services kind of narrow down? Well, we'll start with family. So recreational leisure time in the family shifted from homosocial, individualized, to recreational leisure directed to a man and recreational leisure directed towards a woman, to co-ed, as well as from communal to corporate. We really start to see in this period options for families to participate in entertainment together. Things that would be joyful for both men and women. So kind of separate the idea of, well, men will go to a cigar bar and women will go get a pedicure. So you hear advertisements, men go smoke your cigars in this bar, and women go get your nails done at this pedicure location. Instead, commercials start to focus on, hey, bring the whole family, husband, wife, kids, enjoy a time here. Make sure all our phones are put away, please. So consumption then extended from entertainment to purchasing clothing and household goods. Advertising reshaped the definition of consumer from interest group to buying market. Everybody now had the opportunity to spend money, and the producers of goods and services wanted your money. So the right to consume, and this was the huge, this is very, very American, and that is the right to consume. That is the right to buy, the right to own, the right to participate, became identified as the right of American citizenship and an extension of the so-called American dream. Think about that. It was here that developed the idea of buying and owning goods of your choice and having choices, as Tyler and Ashley were talking about, having choices in what items you want to buy. And so as people emigrated here, They weren't just emigrating for an opportunity. They weren't emigrating for a chance. They were emigrating to participate. They wanted to be able to buy our stuff. They wanted to be able to own stuff. And they wanted to have options in what that stuff was. And here is an anecdotal aspect of this. So this is Ronald Reagan telling a joke about the Soviet Union.
Stories that are told in the Soviet Union by their people among themselves, which reveal they've got a great sense of humor, but they've also got a very cynical attitude toward their system. And I told this, and really you'll have to hear it again. I told it in the car. I didn't tell this one to Gorbachev. You know, there's a 10-year delay in the Soviet Union of delivery of an automobile. And only 1 out of 7 families in the Soviet Union own automobiles. There's a 10-year wait. And you go through quite a process when you're ready to buy, and then you put up the money in advance. This happened to a fellow, and this is their story that they tell, this joke. That this man, he laid down his money, and then the fellow who was in charge said to him, okay, come back in 10 years and get your car. And he said, morning or afternoon? And the fellow behind the counter said, well, 10 years from now, what difference does it make? And he said, well, the plumber's coming in the morning.
So think about that. Oh. Think about what that meant. In the United States, if you want to buy a car, and if you want to blow a lot of money on a piece of trash car like I did, you can do it like that. You can walk onto a lot and 45 to 90 minutes later walk off with a huge headache of a debt. And then you can have the plumber come the next day. And you can go to the grocery store and buy all the fixings for whatever your favorite meal is. And you can buy a new flat screen TV. And you can upgrade your internet speed to the fastest speeds possible so you can have 15 people in your house streaming through your broadband. And you can have the newest video game system. And. How many of you have wanted to buy a product and realized, and been disappointed and gone, it's sold out? That feeling, we don't feel it very often, do we? We pretty much come to expect that when I go to a store, when I seek out an item, I'm going to get it when I want. It's going to be there because they're going to produce enough for me to have. And maybe if Walmart is sold out by my house, but Walmart just 3 miles away, they've still got 5 left on their stock. So yeah, I have to go out of my way, I have to drive a few extra miles, pure and 83rd Walmart, but I still get to go to bed that night with that product in my home. This idea of the right to consume is very much a part of what makes us American, the American dream. It's not here we have President Reagan telling an anecdote, that joke that Russians tell about their own country, that they have to pay for a car that will not be delivered for 10 years because they don't have enough available. And the governments and the economy is not structured in a way to guarantee that when I want a car, I can buy a car. And think about the plumber. Well, what difference does it make? It's 10 years from now. Yeah, well, the plumber's coming in the morning. I gotta make sure that I'm there for him because I'll have to wait 10 years for my plumber to come and fix my plug. That's more prevalent around the world than what we have. But we have this idea, I want a taco, I want sushi, I want a burger, I want pizza, and I want specific toppings on it. We can go wherever we want, whenever we crave it, we get exactly what we want. That is rare. That is an uncommon occurrence on planet Earth. And the ability to then also, on top of having a great dinner, stream Wi-Fi, use your Wi-Fi, to stream a movie, whatever new movie is out on HBO Max, to then be able to play video games, chat with your friends, to be, all of that and do it, drop the hand. Oh, my Wi-Fi went down. Yeah, well, I got data on my phone, so I don't have to end my call. That is rare. It's extremely rare. But that whole idea of the possibility, about 100 years old. So how did companies reach out to Americans? They went through advertising, obviously. And they tried to advertise very specifically. They would advertise to, hey, men, this is for you. Women, this is for you. Husband, wife, family, this is for you. But then also, for those things that are kind of generic, so take coffee, it's also, hey, let's place you in a location where you consume our good that makes, or let's kind of spin the idea of you consuming this good to being in a better location. So take Maxwell House coffee. It's so good, it's as if you're on the Great Lakes Fleet. So it's as good as if you're on a cruise line or a beach in the Caribbean as part of a cruise tour. Now, they had to make the consumer think that their coffee, that drinking the coffee was like placing yourself on a beach, because their coffee's terrible. So when you drink coffee, it's so gross. They have to make you think like you're on the Caribbean beach, but ain't nobody gonna buy it. And then you got Coca-Cola, the pause that refreshes. So this is referencing smoking breaks. For you non-smokers, and we're talking 1940s, 1950s here, for you non-smokers, smokers would get smoking breaks. They'd be like, hey, and that was only when buildings began to become non-smoking. Because generally you just smoked in your office, no matter where you work, everybody's smoking, you were breathing in your smoke toxins. Some of those people who don't smoke, instead of taking a smoke break, take a Coke break. Drink a Coca-Cola. Sorry, that's how it started. Take a Coke break. The universal line of home goods. This one is dedicated directly for women. This is 1920s, I believe. So here's a woman telling her husband, I don't mind housekeeping a bit. Every wife used to say that. The universal housewife says, so I don't mind housekeeping a bit, the universal housewife says. No wonder, but the universal home needs to do the hard work. Really, they make housework a pleasure. And how they cut down the bills. With the universal coffee percolator, it's a matter of a few minutes to make coffee of delicious flavor. The universal food chopper makes delicious dishes from leftovers that would ordinarily go to waste. Saves and cost many times over the food it saves. Perfect bread, the universal bread maker, 3 minutes. The cake maker, mayonnaise maker. Look. Teapot, and scores of other universal home needs, all doing their parts to lessen the housewife's work. Aluminum ware, electric grill and toaster, waffle iron, yada, yada, yada. So this was now, hey, housewives, you've got all these responsibilities. We now sell a line of goods. All for everything you need, just buy Universal. Just look for the Universal sticker, you know that's got it's good quality, it's going to be good price, it's exactly what you need. Everything look the same, kind of like all Apple products have that same kind of sleek look, the rounded curves, the bright colors, that kind of thing. Universal home needs would have been the same thing. Who is this guy right here? Who does he represent? Who does that cartoon represent? Don't think of the individual. He's a generic person. What does he represent that? Cut your costs. Here you got a smoking, kind of older guy in a suit pounding his desk. Cut your costs by buying a fool. Who might that guy be representing in that cartoon? The generic kind of person. Business owner. Is a business owner. Cut your costs. I mean, you're looking at a CEO right there of some company. Buy a Ford, save money. Bro, smoke a cigarette during this guy. Oh, that's probably a cigar. That's totally a cigar. Then you got Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth put his face on everything. He advertised everything. From this is Red Rock Cola to cigarettes to food to movies to clothing lines. I mean, Babe Ruth he advertised for everything because not only was he the most bankable icon of entertainment the world had ever known at this point, still talking early 19teens, 20s, 30s. But he got paid for all these, and he very much enjoyed the money that he made. All right, so what say you? What is the most memorable or influential advertisement you've ever seen in your lifetime? What made it so memorable? It could be print, it could be television, whatever you want. What is the most memorable, influential advertisement you've ever seen in your life? What made it so memorable and influential? Social distance like the neighbors. Ready, set, go.
Okay, so I was hoping to have chat on this, but it wouldn't let me. I was gonna have you do it so you can send links here, and I was gonna mention the class, but it blocked it for some reason. So in your notes, though, when you answer this question, don't just say what it is. If you can find the commercial, it's just a YouTube, you link the commercial that you're referencing. I'd like to watch it. This is a fun topic. So.
There are ones.
What's the influential advertisement?
Those are usually the ones that are kind of absurd a lot of times. Nothing that we could ever go
Oh, travel, yeah.
Before I pull a popsicle stick, do I have any volunteers? Somebody's just the greatest commercial I've ever seen, most memorable commercial.
I don't think it's influential, but when you said that, the first one that came to mind was the commercial where Charles Barkley plays basketball against Godzilla.
Yeah,
That
I can pull up a couple, please.
I don't know. That one always. When I think of absurd, memorable commercials, that one just comes to mind. I don't even know if it was advertising NBA or a comic or something, but.
Well, I want to say that was 93. It's on the Suns, or it just been traded to the Suns. Like I said, that was before you were born, though. Like, I remember that, but.
Sure, when I saw commercial and memorable, that's what came to mind.
That was the cream of those bar goggles.
I remember they literally had a commercial for the commercial.
That commercial, that for that commercial?
Yeah, they have like an even smaller version saying, watch this because there's going to be this full commercial there.
Oh.
So.
Who else? What commercial pops in your head? Okay, one and then two. So, Nikki.
Like Skittles commercials, like so bizarre, and like one chick had like Skittles pops.
Skittles pops, yeah, we were talking about that. Those are, bizarre is the best word. I was saying creepy, but I like bizarre. Very weird. Vanessa, what about you?
In our group, Jesse said the Kia Soul commercials with like little gerbil hamsters.
Yeah.
They just were all just kind of grouped in.
promoting the crystal and stuff.
It's such an ugly car. It's the car my wife owns, and it's just so ugly. Oh, I've told her. It's a box. That's all it is. It's not like a car. It's just a box with wheels. It's almost like they put the gerbils in a shoebox, poked holes in it for windows, and put some wheels on it. What else? Most influential. And by the way, when I said influential, I don't mean like it's changed the world. It changed you. Like what commercial just resonates with you? You'll just never forget it. Funniest commercial. Derica, where are you? She not here? Vanessa, what did you guys say? Oh.
I have another one.
Okay, what is it?
The Geico commercials, like when Geico was always enough.
Which is your favorite Geico character?
Oh, yeah. The Gecko?
The gecko?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the cavemen?
Yeah.
Did you guys know that they actually turned one of those cavemen, the intelligent one, into a TV show? He had a sitcom. That's no exaggeration. It's the only time I'm aware of where a commercial became a sitcom. And what he did, so there were three original, for those commercials, there were originally three cavemen, but only one was like this intelligent kind of goofball and like really snooty kind of guy. And so he got the star place in the sitcom, and they replaced the two others. But he worked in an IKEA. And that was his job, is he worked in an IKEA. Tyler, go buy a lottery ticket if you're over 21.
Influential wise, I mean, it's not really funny, but I play tennis a lot, and I saw a thing for a ball machine, and I was like, I don't really need one because they're kind of pricey. And then I saw like another commercial for it, and I was like, okay, I need to get one. And so I ended up dropping a decent portion of money on one, but I really didn't need to. But
so all it took was for you to see that commercial twice, and you spent $3,000. I'm making up a number.
it was around there, but yeah.
His eyes got wide when I saw it.
Okay, it was Bluetooth, and your phone was the remote, and it was super sick. Like it was definitely worth it.
Do you still own it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely it was good, but yeah, it was like very influential. It's like it showed like the pros using it, like how much it helps them. Like, yeah, I need that. So I got it.
Do you still use it?
Yeah. No, I used it every day for like a couple months, and so it was worth it.
Okay.
So,
all right.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
So
Nathaniel.
My favorite commercial was the Hump Day commercial for Geico.
Which one was it?
Hump Day one.
Oh, Hump Day. Oh, Hump Day? Yeah. I had a student when I was teaching high school say that every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, he'd walk into class. Hump Day? The first couple times, like, oh, it's cute. You sound just like the camel. 6 months later. Avery.
One of mine, it's like super old. It's like a print ad, but it's for Volkswagen. It's just like a white page, like with their car on it, and it just says "Think Small." And I just always remember that because it's like so simple, but it was like really influential during the time.
Sure. Yeah. I'll see if I can pull it up here in a second. Very good. Joella? Oh, sorry. Okay, so you also said Skittles box.
Yeah.
It's terrified me. Any others?
I mean, it's not really a commercial per se, but I saw the Age of Ultron commercial and then Aaron Taylor Johnson jumped out. So that was cool.
Which characters? Oh, Quicksilver. Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible.
Why'd they have to kill him? Spoilers, by the way. Well, he was allowed in that movie. Thinking about him in more than one. Michael. Oh, okay. You already said yours. Do you have another one?
I mean, there's another Skittles.
Isabella.
I didn't have a specific one, but our group talked about how it's more about how many times it's played that makes it right?
Sure. Does anybody have one in particular where they just saw that commercial over and over and over again? Jade?
One of the, like, dogs in the shelter.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Who is that? It's the ASPCA or ASPCH? PCA, something like that. Yeah, it's what's the song? Is it All by Myself? Is that the song? What is it? I don't know if that's right.
The arms of
The Arms of Angel, that's what I was.
Oh, and the Arms of Angel.
That's the one that was always on whenever I heard it.
Yeah, you know that you're up way too late when that commercial comes on. You're like, it's 4:30. I gotta go to bed. I have to be in school in 3 hours. So I have a couple that I share that are most influential for me. I think I've told you guys in the past, I'm a gamer. I don't get to play very much right now, but like I am looking forward to sitting on my couch over summer vacation and playing. But this commercial came out, and I believe it was a Super Bowl commercial, and I have to double check. But I will never ever forget seeing this commercial for the first time, and seeing it run a couple times afterwards. And I'll never forget going to school after this commercial ran and having conversations about it with some of my friends who all play video games. This was a big deal.
New for 2078. PlayStation 9's new electronic sports tap straight into your adrenal gland. PS9 has improved retinal scanning. A mind control system. Holographical listener vision. And telepathic personal music. The ultimate just got better. PlayStation 9. Teleport yours today.
I saw that, I'm like, oh my. So the PlayStation 1 was the only video game system out at that time. That was 1999, 2000, something like that. So it's like the 99-2000 Super Bowl. I see this commercial, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like the coolest thing. And I'll never forget it. Go to school the next day, kids talking about it. They already know what they're going to do with the PlayStation 7. And I remember like telling this one kid, like, they have no idea. Like, oh, it's just a commercial because they're releasing the PS2. Just hugely cool. I don't think they make commercials like this anymore. Truthfully, like, what are we on now? The PlayStation 5?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a PlayStation 5 commercial?
Like on YouTube ads only. Never like.
No broadcasts. Yeah.
Even then, just like a 6-second thing. It's just like, buy it.
Yes, buy it. Yeah. PlayStation 5, buy it. Like, you're like, whoa, I didn't have to sit through a whole commercial on YouTube to watch my stupid video about cats jumping off the couches. The other one was hugely, okay. Yeah. This was influential to me in my adulthood. So this is kind of the definition of viral. This was a YouTube-only commercial. Now, this commercial popped up on my phone one night. It was like 2 in the morning. I'll never forget, I was watching like basketball clips. And my son Benjamin was 3 at the time. And so I'm sure that it popped up for me because of search, my search history and that kind of thing in regards to buying kids' clothes and kids' diapers and all that kind of stuff. So this pops up, you couldn't skip it the first few seconds. And I ended up laying in bed, laughing at this commercial, watching it probably 3 times. I just thought it was that funny. This video, this commercial, ended up having some 80 million views, just a commercial. Had 80 million views. Then they took it down and added some disclaimers. So they lost the original click, and so it's lower. It's still in the millions, but it's not the 80 million. So this is this commercial, and it is hilarious.
I have 3 kids.
Wow. Come on, stop.
I have 3 kids and I work from home, so people always ask me how I stay so calm and organized.
I'm kidding. Do you think I have time for a bath? I'm fully clothed. I fell in the towel I was tying my son holding his breath. 26 seconds! Now go fetch mommy's hairdryer. Motherhood goes by too fast. I haven't slept more than 4 hours in 12 years. My diet consists of the protein bars and peanut chips I inhale in the dark in my pantry. And my children are growing like weeds, but I barely have enough time to keep them alive, let alone print pictures of them. Because here's the problem. What the fuck? Making photo books sucks. It sucks. Don't say suck. They're designed for moms with lots of free time. Imaginary moms. What? I hate you. Really? Formatting them takes hours. And then you push the buttons. And they easily cost $50. So when Sarah does something adorable, I have to say, that's cute, but not $50 cute. But at least graphic's great if you have no job or no kids, so not great. Jeffrey, put down the crossbow. I'm so tired. Don't get me wrong, I love Instagram, but my kids never see our photos. They refuse to follow me. Hi, Jeffrey! You're doing great! But now there's a solution I do have time for because it takes no time. Introducing Chatbooks, the app that automatically creates quality photo books from your phone. Chatbooks is shockingly easy because you already did the work when you took the photos. Chatbooks creates and ships a photo book to you every time you add 60 photos to Instagram, Facebook, or your phone favorites. It even includes the original dates and captions. It's like getting a magazine subscription to your own life. Thank you. Why is Dad wearing a dress? Okay, that's me. Right, the short hair was a mistake. Okay? Unlike a photo book site, the Chatbooks app takes only 30 seconds to set up, and you do it once. 30 seconds to record the lives of your kids. Technically, that's less time than it actually took to make the kids. How do you make kids? What? Thank you. Sunday night. Click the install button here, or search Chatbooks in the App Store or Google Play to install the Chatbooks app today. What's awesome is your Chatbooks requires 0 formatting. And if you're saying no formatting, that's the only reason I do photo books, then this isn't for you, Frank Mom. These books are already beautifully designed. Did you do it? Did we get to do the potty dance? Plus, these Chatbooks cost just $10. That's what you pay for a day's worth of diapers, except you fill Chatbooks with the kind of crap you care about. How about? Then your photo books won't just be for special occasions. They'll be for all the quirky daily stuff you and your family care about. Yes, it's that easy. It really prints and ships your photo books without you having to lift a finger. Thank you. Jeffrey, get off the roof. Okay. Every time a Chatbook is shipped, you'll be notified with enough time to edit your order. And if you're not satisfied, you can always get your money back with our Love Chatbooks guarantee. That was really stupid. Chatbooks are made with the same paper and ink as photo books 5 times their price, so you can spend the savings on your little thumb suckers. Suck! Don't say suck. My family's life is insane, and I want to hold on to every single freaking stupid, stressful, beautiful moment, and now I can. You can install Chatbooks directly from this video. Click the install button here, or tap the screen once and click the visit advertiser link here. Chatbooks, live your life and let Chatbooks print it. Oh, hi there. This is an actual bubble bath since Chatbooks gave me the time for them. In fact, I'm ordering one now, and I'm done. I did not think that through.
So unlike Tyler, who saw a commercial twice and dropped $3,000, I've seen that commercial. I've seen this commercial dozens of times. I've still never purchased Chatbooks. But I think that this commercial is just hysterical to me, and I'm glad you guys laughed through it.
I use it. I'm happy with it.
He's totally gonna go. He's gonna play so much now just because of me. Stupid things.
Send you pictures of it every time I use it.
Then I'll finally buy a Chatbook. I'll just send you a book of just you one. I've never played tennis. So I really have no idea what the form is. I just kind of see it as like it's close enough. Yeah. So leisure time is time spent not working, and this idea of staying home and being leisurely became more public, and it became a commercialized activity. So as in selling goods for people to buy, like own this crap, own this crap, own this crap. People who didn't have items to sell but had memories to sell also wanted the money in your pocket. So they started developing, and as technology improved, I mean, it took the advent of a great number of things in order for these kind of public events to occur. But as technology improved, and then governments and private industry decided or kind of figure out how to capitalize on people's interests of spending leisure time outside of their home, we start to get the advent of dance halls, movie houses, amusement parks, and then sporting events. You have to kind of remember in regards to sports that today sports is a global marketplace. You know, people in China, people in Italy, people in Mexico, people in Brazil watch NBA basketball. Americans watch EuroLeague soccer. There are professional baseball leagues in Japan, in Taiwan, in Korea, in China, just the same as the United States, and Mexico, and Cuba, and so on and so forth. Sports today is a global phenomenon. It wasn't always that way. Go to the 1860s, around the time of the Civil War. There was no such thing as basketball. There was no such thing as football or baseball, hockey. None of that stuff existed. That's all brand new. But what, not only the sport, I should say brand new, I mean brand new in terms of this, you know, historical human context. But then as in regards to the saleable commodity, the idea of, hey, watch people play a game, which if you think about it, it sounds kind of silly. Would you ever pay to watch people play Monopoly? Would you ever pay to watch people play Scrabble? What if you find the greatest crossword puzzle solver in the world? If you pay to watch someone do a crossword, then why do we watch adult men on steroids hit balls for a living? Like, think about it. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're watching other people play a game that we could just as easily play. Are we going to be as big and strong as them? No, we don't do drugs. But could we not play the same sports and actually get probably better entertainment out of it because we're going to participate, get the exercise out of it, feel better about ourselves because we're up on our feet, running around, the blood is pumping, our heart's pounding, we're burning calories instead of sitting on our butts eating popcorn, watching dudes hit baseballs. Well, once this idea that, hey, we can capitalize on those people who can't play sports, who don't want to play sports, who don't have time to play sports, we can pay people to play sports, and people will pay us to pay them. Boom, saleable commodity. So leisure is not only a shift of the time spent not working, it included spending one's money just looking for a good time, i.e. buying happiness or memories instead of just stuff. My sister and brother-in-law have 2 kids. I don't know, I think Olivia's 7th grade. How old are you in 7th grade? 13? 12? I think she's 12, and then my nephew is 10, I think. My sister and brother-in-law stopped buying them Christmas presents. They do a couple of small things to go on the tree. So that way on Christmas morning they get something to open. I mean, it kind of means something. But they spend the bulk of their money on buying memories. So then what they do is after Christmas, they go take a big trip. And they go do something that the kids have never done before. So then they forever have this memory of, remember that time we went to blank and did whatever, instead of, remember the time I had that toilet broke 20 minutes after I unwrapped it? You know, so this became a new saleable, bankable commodity. Movies, too, became a big deal as that technology enveloped. Nickelodeon to the first movie theaters with an admission fee of $1 nickel. And so this would have been an old art house style, you know, theater. You go in and watch a movie. Feature-length movies were pretty rare initially. Movies were generally only a few minutes, 15 minutes long. And so companies would produce like 4 or 5 15-minute videos, movies, so that way you could actually sit there for an hour, you know, spend a little bit of time. So what were the movie firsts? Well, blacksmith scene is the first known use of actors on film. That's right here. This was released on May 9th, 1893. So these are actors I think they're actually blacksmiths, but they're only doing this specifically for the film. So this is 1893. Also in 1893, the first film production studio was completed on the grounds of Edison's laboratories in West Orange, New Jersey. In 1894, that would be April 14th, the first kinetoscope parlor or movie house opened in New York. One quarter got entrance to 5 movies that were about 10 to 15 minutes long, but 50 cents offered the ability to watch 10 movies. In 1896, the first building dedicated to showing films was opened in New Orleans. In 1902, A Trip to the Moon is released. This is the first science fiction movie of all time. Let's see if I can get to the part. Oh, I think. So here's the rocket ship. I'm not going to full screen it, but it's not one to play. There we go. There's the rocket ship floating. So now the adventurers have a monopoly on science fiction. It all started right here in 1902. In 1903, December 1903, The Great Train Robbery is released. It's the first remake in movie history. And in 1909, a proto-feature film, which was 4 short films, was combined to make a feature length of Les Mis. That was the first American-produced feature-length movie of all time. It was actually 4 proto-films. These were, again, 4 small ones. Look at those special effects. Look at the special effects right there. They're on the moon right here. That's what they're supposed to be on the moon. Breathing air and walking around, apparently in a cave. Where's the comment just flew by? I just wanted to do that. Oh, now they're going to go to sleep. There we go, there's the comment. Just flying by with the special effects. You'll have access to this one, I believe. I'm not going to show us, we're running out of time, but here is The Great Train Robbery. This is 15 minutes. It's a silent film. I'll just show you 2 quick clips. So when these films were produced, sometimes you can really scare the heck out of an audience. And you can do it. You can do it by having something come towards the camera. So when this was released, where's the train? So it is, as it says, The Great Train Robbery. When this movie was released, where is it? Now, on one scene, they have the train heading straight for the camera. Man, this thing's super fishy. That's not perfect. Oh, no, fine. Well, the point though is that they put a camera on the track and had a train drive towards it, drive up over it, and edited that in. They said there are stories of people seeing this train coming towards them on screen, getting truly fearful, screaming and running out of the theater because they thought the train was going to crash through that screen and crush them all. Then this movie ends with this. One of the robbers turns to the camera right there and fires at the screen. And they said there were reports of people screaming and ducking underneath the chairs because they were afraid the bullets were going to fly over their heads. Now remember, this is 1903, so we were talking 117, 18 years ago. This technology is all totally brand new. Today, we don't get scared of anything. I mean, we might jump because something flashes on the screen, but we know nothing's going to jump to the screen. 1903, people had never seen this kind of stuff before. They weren't so sure. Well, then theme parks began to open up. Coney Island becomes one of the biggest, most important theme parks in American history, certainly in its age. Has anyone been to Coney Island, New York? It's basically now, when's the last time, when did you go? Oh, such a long time. Do you remember it? So now it's kind of like run down. It's just really old, and it's no Disneyland, but it's kind of like a Disneyland. So here we have videos of Coney Island from the 1920s. The thing I want to particularly show is this scene right here when it flies over. Look at the literally hundreds of thousands of people that are here at Coney Island. Again, this is a theme park. Okay, so here's the U.S. Army Brent blimp from June 1920 flying over Coney Island. I say you can see there's a roller coaster right over here. Right there. So this is all just after World War I. This is like really when the U.S. is feeling quite good about ourselves. And the idea of official, okay, so here's the official opening. Oh my gosh, that's right. There's some Coney Island Boardwalk 1923. There are some. Okay, there's the Army Boardwalk. Look else. Is that fun? Sit on a good old beach. Forget COVID. It just doesn't look fun. We don't have the flyover here. There we go. Here's the flyover. Check this out. Imagine what space do you have to lay down a towel on a beach like that? I mean, it's insanity. And it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. So this would have been a biplane flying over recording all this. I mean, those are hundreds of thousands of people. Your God, you're just like, you gotta imagine too that the amount of trash that's just left behind. Look at all those people. And you can see all the cars back there, parking lot right there. And there's just no space to enjoy yourself. When I go to San Diego, I avoid Mission Beach because it's kind of like that sometimes. Where it's just like, I can't. My wife and my son went this summer. We started at Mission Beach. We're like, there's just way too many people here. We ended up just going over the bridge to what's the island? Not Coney. What's the island across the bridge outside of San Diego? Coronado. Thank you. We went to Coronado. And, oh my gosh, those beaches were empty. I'm like, we're just staying here for the weekend. There's some really funny amusement parks up here. Let me just see if I can find the one I'm thinking of. Oh, here we go. This is the one I want to show you. After this. Somebody tell me if. Oh, come on, get out of the boat. There we go. Tell me if this looks fun, but it doesn't tell anybody. Because look, what is the objective of this? Is to stay on boat. You just don't fly off. The objective is to stay on as long as you can, but then eventually it will just get to the wrong flow. And look how somebody could fling down. There were steps right there. Fling down the. And look at this. I don't think they're belted in. They're literally just hanging on. Did somebody fly off?
Oh, no.
Okay, so here we go. There's, again, it's the fling in the end. Oh my gosh, that looks so fun. I get nauseous just looking at this. Let's see what it is. There's one more, and there's like a grandma holding on, and she gets flung off last. Oh, maybe it's another video. Well, then here is a trip to New York City in 1911. This one I love. This is Doug Center. This has been colorized. Imagine this is now 110 years old in New York City. Again, the audio is done. This is the sound of film that this guy cleaned up fantastically, colorized, and little bit, add the sound effects to give it some life. That whistle to be a police officer directing traffic before street lights. So this was filmed. It was that real fast speed. You guess like old films, it was like going really fast. The reason it happens is really old films in this era happen, or everything's moving like real fast motion, looks like everything's funky, is because it's literally got a crank. And as he cranks, you can hear it. It's essentially on a film taking pictures. So the speed of your crank sets the speed of the motion of the video. So the faster you crank, the faster everything moves. And it just kind of cranked like this to get, the film like that. So what this guy did is he took this all to the computer, used modern technology to clean up the tape. But you don't even see any, well, every once in a while you'll see like crackle, but you almost don't see any flaws in the video. But then he also slowed everything down to appear as close to actual pace that everything would have been, to actual human walking pace. So he probably just kind of sets it like that, watches a couple of them, okay, let's put the time slows all down. This is the what's that called? The iron, I just talked about last week, I'm spacing. Flatiron Building. It's a Flatiron Building, which was 12 stories. It used to be the tallest building, one of the tallest buildings in New York. Now it's nowhere close. But look how smooth everything looks. So again, you'll have access to this if you want to go back and look. Then there was sports. The first World Series was played in 1903. It was a best of 9 for you baseball fans. It's now always best of 7. It was best of 9 series. The Boston Americans defeated the Pittsburgh Pirates 5-3. Here we have a picture of the White Sox versus Cubs City Championship Series on October 10th, 1909. I want to show you here real quick. Here's again some. That's Babe Ruth. So this is old footage that's same as the Walking Through New York. Was all fast paced and kind of, the video was flawed, it was black and white, and this company got the video, slowed it down to the natural, actual pace. This is just bad practice. Cleaned up all the flaws, and then add some color to it. So that's Babe Ruth taking bad practice in 1931. And then number 4 walking up, that's Mickey Mantle. So this was all before a game started, probably 20 minutes before first pitch. But that almost looks like taking on an iPhone and using a filter to just kind of make it look old. But this is actually, I would be 80 years old, 90 years old now. Get favorite back real quick. Yeah, it's actually a lot. That's a lot. Alright. So all this technological market innovation, there was obviously a social criticism. So at the advent of this new industrial consumption-based society, property, and don't just think land, but just those random goods, those luxuries that we can buy that go far beyond the yeoman farmer's ability to just self-sustain. Property became the conventional basis of both reputation and social standing, i.e., the more you had of the good items, the expensive items, those luxurious, hard-to-find items, the higher your social standing. We feel this today, don't we? Think of just iPhones. When you've got an iPhone, it's like 3 or 4 generations old, like mine, and I see somebody with a new iPhone, what are we on? 12. So this is, I think, 7, so I'm like 5 generations back. Joe Biden announced the United States will have enough vaccines for every adult by the end of May. Thanks, Trump. So I see people with the iPhone 12, and it's like, I get that feeling of man, like, this phone works great. It has 0 space. I have Bill Benjamin who records himself coloring, and so I just have hundreds of hours of him just doing random stuff. A lot of very cute, but like I got no space. But when I see people with the iPhone 12, it's like, man, I can take better pictures of myself in the mirror. For upper classes, it became necessary to consume time non-productively as evidence of the ability to afford a life of leisure. This was more common in Europe, in fact. However, to that question, is this still a perspective today, in that do people in the upper classes find it necessary to consume time non-productively as evidence of the ability to afford a life of leisure, or do those with wealth consume their resources and spend their time doing other things? Social distance type of neighbors. Next, go.
If someone got there from one way up, everybody's the pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like use that on like outdoors. I love
All right, real quick. Okay, Abigail, Ada, Amber, Andrew, Ashley Ferguson, Ashley O, Avery, Berkeley, Blaine, Blake, Brian, Brooklyn, Camilla, Carter, Dawson Lane, Dawson Mitch, DeMarcus, Demetrius, Derica, Emily, did I get here? Okay. Estefani, Evan, Frederick,
Here.
Gabby, Haley, Hannah, Isabella, Jaden,
Here.
Jamie, Janae, Jesse, Joella.
Here.
John Crispy, John Davis. Here. Is John Crispy here or not? No. Joey, Julia, Kenna, Carissa, Keani, Laura, Lori, Leslie,
Here.
Mackenzie, Mary, Matthew, H or M? H. Okay. And there's Matthew Moore here. Marilyn, Michael, Michaela, Morgan, Nancy, Nathan, Nathaniel, Nick, or Nicholas, Oren, Peyton, Raina,
Here.
Samantha M. Murray, Samantha Vernon, Seth, Sydney, Sophia, Tanner, Taylor, Taylor, Tyler, Vanessa.
Here.
Okay, any questions, comments, concerns, facial expressions from me? All right, just think on that. I love you all. Have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday. Don't forget to send your notes to Thursday.
Great. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up, guys.